Brace yourselves, folks, because we're diving headfirst into one of history's most debated tales, Noah's flood. It's a tale that's been told and retold countless times, passed down through generations, and etched into the fabric of multiple cultures around the world. Our story starts in the book of Genesis, the first book of the Hebrew Bible and the Old Testament. It's here that we meet Noah, a man described as righteous and blameless among his contemporaries. Noah finds favor in the eyes of God, who, distressed by the wickedness of mankind, decides to wipe out all life on earth with a colossal flood. But there's a lifeline. Noah is instructed to build an ark, a massive vessel capable of weathering the storm and preserving life. The ark is no ordinary boat. It's a behemoth of a structure, built to specific divine instructions. We're talking about an ark that's 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. That's a boat longer than a football field. And it's not just Noah and his family who are boarding this mega ship. They're joined by a menagerie of Earth's creatures, 2 of every kind, from the humblest ant to the grandest elephant. Then comes the rain. 40 days and 40 nights of relentless torrential downpour, until every mountain and every hill is submerged beneath the waves. The world as they know it is gone. But every storm runs out of rain, and eventually the deluge ceases. The waters recede, the ark finds dry land, and those on board start the world anew. As a symbol of his covenant that such a catastrophe would never occur again, God creates a rainbow, a sign of hope and a promise for the future. So, that's the story in a nutshell. But the million-dollar question is, did it really happen? Now hold on to your hats, because this flood story isn't exclusive to the Bible. Let's take a step back in time to ancient Mesopotamia, where we find the Epic of Gilgamesh. This tale, etched into clay tablets around 4,000 years ago, recounts the story of a man, Utnapishtim, who's instructed by a god to build a boat and fill it with animals to survive a great deluge. Now, let's jet across to ancient Greece. Here, we come across the tale of Deucalion and Pyrrha, who are warned by Prometheus about an impending flood sent by an irate Zeus. They build a chest, survive the flood, and repopulate the world by throwing stones over their shoulders, which magically transform into humans. Next, let's venture to the Indian subcontinent, where we find the Hindu legend of Manu. Manu saves a small fish, which turns out to be the god Vishnu in disguise. In gratitude, Vishnu warns Manu about a great flood. Following Vishnu's advice, Manu builds a boat, ties it to the horn of a fish, and survives the flood. Finally, let's land in North America, where numerous Native American tribes have their unique flood myths. The Ojibwe tell of a great flood caused by the water monster, and the Hopi speak of Spider Woman who saves the virtuous from floods. So, what can we glean from these stories? While the characters and settings differ, they all share a common thread: a divine warning, the construction of a vessel, the survival of a chosen few, and a great flood that wipes out the rest of humanity. These narratives, separated by vast distances and cultures, all echo the same fundamental story. It's as if they're all different pieces of the same ancient puzzle. Interesting, isn't it? The same story, different characters and settings. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? All right, it's time to roll up our sleeves and dig into the science of it all. First things first, the Earth's surface is a testament to its history. And right now it's telling us a story that contradicts the idea of a global flood. Geologists have pointed out that if a worldwide flood did occur, we'd expect to find a uniform layer of sediment all around the globe. But here's the catch: we don't see that. Instead, the Earth's crust displays a complex layering of sediments, indicating a diverse series of geological events over millions of years. Now, let's take a moment to consider the life that inhabits our world. The story of Noah's Ark suggests that every species alive today descended from those saved on the Ark. But here's where the biological evidence raises a few eyebrows. The genetic diversity we see today would be impossible to achieve from such a small starting population in such a short time. Plus, there's the question of how all these unique species traveled to their current habitats from Mount Ararat, where the Ark supposedly landed. And let's not forget about the water. To cover the highest mountains, we would need a volume of water far beyond what currently exists on and in the earth. Where did all the water come from, and where did it go? These are questions that the flood account doesn't seem able to answer. In the realm of physics too, a global flood poses problems. The amount of energy required to flood the earth would have generated heat, enough heat to raise the earth's temperature to boiling point, cooking everything on the planet. So when we look at the geological, biological, and physical evidence, it seems to paint a picture that's at odds with the story of a global flood. There's no universal sediment layer, the genetic diversity is too great, the geography is all wrong, and the physics, well, it just doesn't add up. So, science seems to be giving the thumbs down to the idea of a global flood. But wait, there's more. Now, let's dust off some old artifacts and see what archaeology has to say about all this. Archaeology, the study of human history through excavation of sites and analysis of artifacts, has offered some intriguing finds that a few interpret as supporting the story of Noah's flood. One such find is the Durupinar site in Turkey, believed by some to be the remains of Noah's Ark. Discovered in the late 50s, this natural formation bears a striking resemblance to a ship's outline. Some enthusiasts propose that it's the fossilized remains of the Ark, but skeptics argue that it's simply a geological oddity. Then there's the Black Sea Deluge hypothesis, a theory suggesting that a massive flood filled the Black Sea around 7,000 years ago. Some propose this event as the historical basis of the flood narrative. However, this theory is far from universally accepted, with critics pointing out various inconsistencies with the Noah's flood story. Another controversial theory is that of Robert Ballard, the famed oceanographer who discovered the Titanic. Ballard found evidence of a sudden catastrophic flood in the Black Sea region about 7,500 years ago. He suggests this could be the origin of the flood myth, but again, many in the scientific community remain unconvinced. Lastly, we have the Sumerian king list, an ancient manuscript listing kings who reigned for incredibly long periods before the flood. Some see this as indirect evidence of a Great Deluge. However, others view these long reigns as mythical, casting doubt on the flood reference as well. These archaeological finds and theories are indeed fascinating, yet they remain highly controversial. Each one has its proponents who see them as compelling evidence of Noah's flood, and its critics who argue they are misinterpretations or coincidences. In the end, the interpretation often comes down to personal beliefs. As it stands, mainstream archaeology and geology haven't found definitive proof of a global flood as described in the biblical tale. So, some folks believe they found proof of Noah's flood, but the jury's still out on that one. Alright, we've heard the story, we've looked at the science, and we've dug into archaeology. So, what's the verdict? Let's recap. We've got this ancient narrative of a world-engulfing flood, a tale so captivating it's echoed in cultures around the globe. It's a story that's been passed down for generations, from the ancient Sumerians to the Hebrews, from the Greeks to the native tribes of America. It's a tale that, despite its fantastical elements, continues to captivate us even today. But then we've delved into the realm of science. We've explored geology, paleontology, and climate science. We've looked at the evidence, or lack thereof, for a global deluge. We've learned that while there have been massive floods in human history, none of these seem to align with the timeline or magnitude of Noah's flood as detailed in the Bible. We've also unearthed archaeological finds and theories, some of which suggest the possibility of a significant flood event in the ancient world. Yet these finds are often localized, and their connection to the biblical flood is tenuous at best. So where does that leave us? Well, it's complicated. The truth of Noah's flood, it seems, largely depends on personal beliefs. For some, the lack of definitive scientific and archaeological evidence is not a deterrent, but a test of faith. For them, the story of Noah's Ark is a divine truth, a tale of God's wrath and mercy, of human sin and redemption. For others, the flood is a myth, a powerful allegory perhaps, but not a historical event. They see it as a story born out of a time when humans were trying to make sense of the world, a narrative shaped by natural disasters they witnessed, and the moral lessons they wanted to impart. In the end, whether Noah's flood is real or fake is a question that perhaps only you can answer for yourself. It's a question that requires not just an understanding of the evidence, but also a deep introspection of your beliefs and worldview. All right, folks, we've had quite a journey today, haven't we? We've delved into the depths of the Great Deluge, a tale as old as the human race itself. We've surfed the waves of flood myths from every corner of the world, each with its unique flavor, yet all sharing eerie similarities. We've navigated the vast ocean of scientific evidence, or rather, the lack thereof, that could either support or debunk the story of Noah's flood. We've unearthed archaeological finds and theories, some that point towards a global flood, others that dismiss it as mere folklore. And finally, we've arrived at the verdict, a conclusion that is as complex as the tale itself. A verdict that doesn't serve up a clear-cut answer, but rather invites further exploration and questioning. Remember, it's okay to question. It's okay to seek answers. Our natural curiosity is what propels us forward, what spurs us on in our quest for knowledge. But as we embark on our journey of discovery, let's not forget to respect the beliefs of others. Beliefs are often deeply personal and can be rooted in culture, tradition, or personal experiences. Dismissing them outright can lead to misunderstanding and conflict. Instead, let's strive for a dialogue, an exchange of ideas and perspectives. And while we're at it, let's also remember to be cautious of those who seek to manipulate our beliefs for their own gain. Let's keep our minds sharp, our hearts resilient, and our spirits unyielding. Because the truth, as they say, is often stranger than fiction. So as we draw this journey to a close, let's not view it as the end, but rather as the beginning of our own personal quests for truth. Let's keep the flame of curiosity burning bright, fueling our thirst for knowledge and understanding. So keep your minds open, your hearts respectful, and never stop seeking the truth. Until next time, folks.